Cold open. Dale Henley had worked the same aisle at Grubb's Hardware for 11 years. Fasteners aisle 6. He knew every bolt by feel, had a bad knee from a roof job in '09, and drank his coffee black because creamer was a decision he didn't need to make twice a day. The flyer came stapled to the bulletin board next to the lost dog posters.
Xenal contract logistics, off-world labor.
Hazard pay. No experience necessary. Dale read it twice, mostly for the pay number. He called the listed number on his lunch break, sandwich in one hand. Yeah, hi. Saw your flyer. What's the job? Frontier contract work. 6-month term. High risk. That the one with the good dental? And yes. Sign me up. That was the whole conversation. Dale Henley did not know what a Kharn was or why it had a 9 after it. He'd find out. Warning scene. The recruiter's office smelled like ozone and bad coffee, somehow familiar. A woman named Marsh, sharp suit, sharper eyes, slid a stack of forms across the desk. Mr. Henley, I need you to understand. The fatality rate on Kharn-9 contracts is currently sitting at 91%. 91 out of every 10 people we send, 9 don't come home. Dale signed the first form without reading it. Good odds compared to my last marriage. Marsh blinked. This isn't a joke, sir. The environment alone has killed veteran contractors with 20 years of frontier experience, radiation, toxic atmosphere, gravitational anomalies, predators that... Says here I get a corner bunk. He tapped the paper. That's still true? Marsh stared at him for a long moment, then slid the last form over. Sign here. And Mr. Henley, don't blame me if you come back in a box. If you come back at all. Dale signed. Wouldn't dream of it. Squad introduction. The transport hangar on Zenil Station smelled like machine coolant and nerves. Dale showed up in jeans and a flannel, carrying a duffel bag and a thermos, 20 minutes early because his father always said early was on time and on time was late. The rest of the squad was already there, and they were, to put it mildly, a lot. Thalrekin stood nearly 8 feet tall, skin like polished obsidian with veins of faint blue light running underneath. A crystalline exoskeleton that shifted color with his mood, currently a hard, controlled slate. He was a war hero 3 times over, holder of the Void Cluster campaign medal, survivor of 41 combat drops, the kind of soldier other soldiers saluted without being told to. Suthave had 4 arms, pale violet skin, and eyes that saw 6 more colors than a human's did. She was the mission's xenobiologist, decorated for isolating, the cure to the Threnian wasting, plague from inside a quarantine zone that had killed 11 prior researchers. She carried 3 separate medical scanners all running at once. Corin desk clicked when he walked, an insectoid frame covered in chitinous plates, compound eyes reflecting the hangar lights in fractured little mirrors. Tactical command school, top of his class, 12 successful hostile world extractions. He did not blink. He did not appear to require blinking. And then there was Dale, 44 years old, soft in the middle, bad knee, flannel shirt, thermos of gas station coffee, no medals, no campaigns, no scanners. Thalrek looked him over the way. You'd look at a folding chair, someone brought to a war. This is the 4th member. Species designation human. Corin clicked, consulting a datapad. No combat record. No survival record. Occupation listed as... He squinted at the pad. Hardware associate. I sell nails, Dale said, sipping his coffee. Sometimes screws, too, if the customer's fancy. Sutha's 4 hands folded together with clinical concern. This being is our 4th squad member for a Class 9 Death World deployment. Yep, Dale said. Where do I put my bag? Nobody answered right away. They were all still looking at him. Comedy escalation loop. Radiation. The planet's surface experiences ionizing radiation storms, Thalrek said. Capable of stripping flesh from bone in under 4 minutes without shielding. Dale nodded slowly. So hailstorms? I do not understand the comparison. Ohio hail. Golf ball sized. Took the roof clean off my tool shed in 15. You learned to just get inside and wait it out, he shrugged. Sounds about the same, just angrier. Corin's mandibles clicked twice, which Dale would later learn was the insectoid equivalent of a concerned frown. It is not the same. We'll see. Acid rain. The atmosphere produces precipitation, with a pH capable of dissolving standard armor. Plating within the hour. Sutha said, adjusting a scanner. Dale considered this. My ex-wife made a lemon vinaigrette that did worse to my stomach lining. Thalrek's crystalline skin flickered an uncertain color. That is a food. That's my point. Gravity wells. Localized gravitational anomalies fluctuate between 1 and 11 times. Standard gravity. Without warning, Corin said. Personnel have been crushed instantly. So like carrying my mother-in-law's china cabinet up 2 flights of stairs. Dale flexed his bad knee. Knee's never been the same. This'll be a nice change of pace, probably. You compare planetary gravity fluctuations to furniture. Heavy furniture. Toxic spores. There is a native fungal spore that dissolves lung tissue on contact, Sutha said, voice tightening slightly. Death occurs within minutes of exposure. Dale thought about it. My Uncle Ray smoked 2 packs a day and cigars on weekends. Doctors gave him 6 months in 1998. Man's still alive. Ornery as ever. That is an anecdote, not a defense. Didn't say it was a defense, just said it sounded familiar. Thermal extremes. Surface temperature swings from -60 to +140. Within a single-day cycle, Thalrek said, and for the first time his voice carried something like genuine concern. Ohio, Dale said simply. 60 below with wind chill in January, 105 in July with the corn sweat. We just own a lot of coats. The 3 aliens exchanged a long look. Corn, Corin repeated, sweat. You'll understand when you get there. Or you won't, either way. Apex predators. The planet's dominant predator species hunts in coordinated packs, can smell warm blood from 12 kilometers, and has been known to breach reinforced habitat walls, Sutha said. Her voice now flat with the particular calm of someone who has stopped. Expecting a normal reaction, Dale nodded. Raccoons. Nobody said anything. Get into the trash every single night no matter what you do. Learn to open my shed door. I put 3 locks on it, 3, they got through too. He sipped his coffee. We'll be fine, probably. Arrival and world reveal. Kharn-9 looked from orbit like a bruise. Deep purples and sickly yellows swirling under a permanent haze. The drop pod hit atmosphere and immediately began shaking hard, enough to rattle teeth. They landed in a canyon of black glass, under a sky the color of a healing wound lit by a dim red sun. The air outside the pod registered on every gauge as instantly lethal. Wind screamed past at a pitch that hurt to hear through the hull. Thalrek's environmental suit hissed and strained the second the ramp lowered. Servos whining under the atmospheric pressure. Corin's chitin plating clicked in rapid, stress-driven sequence. His suit's cooling unit already flashing amber. Sutha's 4-armed exosuit locked up twice trying to compensate for the gravity, which sat at a sickening 2.3 standard and climbing. Dale walked down the ramp in his flannel and a set of company-issued coveralls, thermos still in hand. Bit muggy, he said. Your suit readouts, Sutha said, staring at her scanner, then at him, then back at the scanner. They show minimal strain. Coveralls fit fine. Dale looked around at the black glass canyon, the acid haze drifting low over jagged rock, the wind screaming across distant ridgelines. Reminds me of Cleveland in a bad mood. Thalrek's suit chimed a hard warning. He silenced it with visible effort. This world has killed contractors wearing triple reinforced combat armor within their first hour. Dale set his duffel bag down on the black glass, testing the ground with his boot like he was checking if ice would hold. Solid enough to build on, at least. Corin's compound eyes fixed on him. A small, precise mechanical whir of attention. You intend to build something. Man's gotta have a proper camp. Dale looked over the ridge, squinting against the dim red light like a man sizing up a job. Give me an hour. The 3 aliens looked at each other, then at the readouts on their straining suits, then at the unbothered human setting up a folding stool, next to his duffel bag like he was at a tailgate. Nobody said anything. There was increasingly nothing to say. Episodic danger montage. The radiation storm. The alert came 4 hours after landing, an ionizing storm front, rolling in from the eastern ridge, radiation levels climbing exponentially. Full squad protocol activated. Lead-lined bunker, sealed doors, mandatory shelter, 16-hour lockdown minimum. Dale strung up a tarp made from the pod's heat shield lining, propped at an angle against the canyon wall, and sat under it with his thermos. Henley! Thalrek's voice crackled over comms from inside the bunker. Get inside the shelter immediately. I'm under cover. That is a tarp. Keeps the worst of it off. Same as a tin roof in a hailstorm. You don't need a bunker. You need an angle. He took a sip of coffee. Radiation's not going to curve around a slope, is it? There was a long pause on comms. Then quietly from Sutha. His exposure readings are remarkably low. The gravity fault. A fault line opened beneath the equipment cache. Gravity spiking to 9 times standard in a 15-meter radius, crushing a support strut flat in seconds. Full squad protocol, seismic harnesses, distributed weight anchors, 2-hour stabilization procedure. Dale looked at the sagging equipment tent, looked at the fault line, and tied a rope between 2 support poles at an angle, running the load sideways instead of straight down. You are attempting to redirect gravitational load with a rope, Kharn said, mandibles clicking in rapid disbelief. Same principle as bracing a barn roof in a windstorm. You don't fight the load head-on. You let it run off to the side. He cinched the knot. Worked every winter my dad was alive. Man built that barn with his own 2 hands. The tent held. The support strut, reinforced with a rope, did not buckle further. The acid flood. Acid rain, warned days in advance by every sensor on the site, arrived as a genuine deluge. Canyon floors filling with corrosive, runoff capable of eating through. Standard boots in 9 minutes. Squad protocol, elevated platforms, full-body sealed suits, evacuation to higher ground. Dale spent the morning digging a shallow trench around the camp. Perimeter with an entrenching tool, angled toward a natural runoff gap in the canyon wall. That is not adequate acid mitigation, Sutha said, watching from an elevated platform. Scanner beeping urgent readings at the incoming storm front. It's a gutter. Dale packed the last section of trench. Same one my granddad dug around the farmhouse every spring thaw. Water finds the low ground. You just decide where the low ground is before it does. The flood came. The trench redirected the bulk of the runoff around the camp. Dale's boots got wet. That was the extent of the damage. Log entry, K-Dask Tactical Day 5. The human continues to resolve. Class 9 hazards using methods that possess no basis in any tactical doctrine. I have studied. I have cross-referenced his solutions against 40 encyclopedias of frontier survival technique. They do not appear. I am beginning to suspect this species does not solve problems. It simply refuses to acknowledge them as problems in the first place. I do not know if this is madness or the single most efficient survival strategy I have ever witnessed. Possibly both. The pack hunters. Motion sensors. Picked up a coordinated pack of the planet's apex predators. 6-legged, armor-plated things the size of delivery trucks, closing on the camp from 3 directions at once. Full squad protocol, heavy weapons deployment. Perimeter flares, defensive formation. Dale grabbed a floodlight rig and an air horn scavenged from the pod's emergency kit. Henley, get to defensive position. Thalrek shouted, already leveling a plasma rifle. Hang on. Dale flipped the floodlight on full, aimed it at the tree line, and blasted the air horn twice. The pack scattered, shrieking back into the dark. Silence, then Thalrek slowly lowering his rifle. How? Raccoons hate bright light and loud noise. Figured something bigger and uglier might feel the same. Worked. Dale switched the floodlight off. You want I can rig up a motion light for tomorrow night. Save us the trouble. The reckoning. The planet's automated. Systems flagged it simply as a Class X convergence event. Every hazard at once: magnetic storm, gravity spike, acid deluge, and a predator swarm, all triggered by some deep planetary cycle nobody fully understood. Full squad protocol, emergency evacuation to the drop pod, mission abort standing by. Dale looked at the darkening sky, the wind picking up, the ground beginning to hum with the coming gravity shift, and made a decision the way a man decides to bring the laundry in before a storm. We're not running, he said. We're battening down. Henley, this is a Class X event. There is no precedent for... There's precedent for storms. Every storm's the same shape, just a different size. He was already tying the tarp lines tighter, angling the trench deeper, stacking the equipment crates into a windbreak. Y'all grab anything that can blow away and get it low and heavy. Trust me on this one. Thalrek hesitated a half-second, a war hero of 41 drops, hesitating over the instruction of an unarmed hardware associate, and then, for reasons he could not fully name even to himself, obeyed. The convergence hit like the end of the world. It was not the end of the world. When it passed, the camp stood, battered but whole, and 4 figures climbed out from under a scorched tarp into the first quiet the planet had offered in 10 days. Status flip. Nobody questioned Dale's calls after that. It wasn't dramatic. Talrek simply started asking, "Your assessment, Henley," before committing to a plan. Kharn began logging Dale's methods in a separate file, no longer marked anomalous, just field-tested. Sutha stopped running full bioscans on him every hour and started instead taking notes. "You're not weak," she said one evening, watching him fix a coffee filter. "You're simply calibrated for something we do not have instruments to measure." Dale shrugged. "I'm just used to bad weather." Nobody laughed. Nobody believed that was the whole answer anymore either. Cliffhanger close. They found the marker on the 11th night, buried under black glass, half swallowed by the canyon floor, etched in a language none of their translators could parse. Sutha's scanner flagged something moving beneath it, deep in the rock, far larger than anything the surface hazards had prepared them for. The ground pulsed once, slow like a heartbeat. Thalrek's crystalline skin went a color none of them had seen before. "That is not a native predator signature," Kharn said quietly, mandibles still. "That is not on any survey." Dale crouched down, put his palm flat against the black glass, and felt the faint rhythmic thrum underneath it. "Well," he said, in the same tone he'd use for a flat tire, "that's new." The ground pulsed again. Closer this time.